Legislative Committee meeting. I'll call the meeting to order at 3:01. Okay, first I'll be looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Berry makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions to that agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Next up, I'll look for a motion to adopt the minutes of our last sledge meeting. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Any errors or omissions within those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Just so everybody knows that Councillor Rudick and Councillor Roy will be joining us shortly. One's a little late, gets stuck in some traffic, and one's just finishing up another meeting. So we'll let them come and sit down as they come in. So, okay, first up on our agenda, we have the Northern Lights Library System. And we have Mr. James McDonald here, and the library manager, Don, is here. And who do we have on Zoom? We have Miss Vicky Lefebvre?
Yes, it's Vicky Lefebvre online.
Hello, Vicky.
Can we hear you, Vicky? Are you able to say something? Oh,
Yeah,
we can hear
I
you.
was just trying to change the name on here from my husband to mine.
Usually people do that when they get married.
I did that almost 48 years ago, but still.
Vicky is a city councilor with the City of Cold Lake and the board chair for Northern Lights Library System. And so she's been with Northern Lights for quite some time. We appreciate having her here. I will speak to our value statement. Hopefully you have a copy of this somewhere. I'll speak to that and then give some time for Vicky to bring greetings from the board. And then I have just a moment to make a quick presentation of a plaque to you. So thanks. My name is James McDonald. I am the Executive Director for Northern Lights Library System. Northern Lights, for those that don't know, is one of 7 regional library systems in the province. We partner with 4 other regional systems in a consortium called TRAC. TRAC is the software that we use to deliver books all over the system and to the other systems in that consortium. That gives your residents access to more than 3.5 million library items and almost 200 libraries. In Northern Lights, we have 49 libraries and 55 participating municipalities, of which you are one. And so to be a member of Northern Lights, you pay a levy of $5.23 per resident, and your library board also pays $5.23 per resident. So altogether, it's about it is $10.46 per resident to be a member of Northern Lights. So you pay about $30,000 from the municipality. Out of that $10.46, we take $2.15 off the top, and we put that aside. That doesn't go into the operating budget of Northern Lights. That goes into a book allotment. So that allows your library can use that money to purchase materials. We help with that, but we don't control that money. Your library in 2020, my most recent statistics, received about $918,000 worth of circulation value, circulating books to your community. So what that means is if your residents in 2020 decided to purchase those books from Chapters or Indigo or Amazon, they would have spent about $918,000. We do it for far cheaper than that, but you know, that's a pretty good savings. In fact, the whole of Northern Lights, the regional systems, those 49 libraries, did about $18 million worth of circulation value in 2020. And I expect it's probably a little higher in 2021 once I get the final numbers in. But we're not just about the moving of library materials and books and things like that. Those are great. That's kind of the basis of a library, but we do much more. The library system itself, a lot of our communities can't afford to hire libraries, professional librarians. So we do that, and we consult with your local librarians. You have an assigned consultant. Yours is Joanne Knish. She works with Donna to do all sorts of things, everything from policy development, collection development, and the like, and just helping and supporting her. You received in 2020, it's a weird year, but about $300 in consulting value. Usually it's a little higher. 2020 was interesting. And about $186 in technical support. So we do have the IT folks in our headquarters that they can call. I can't get this computer to work. I don't know how to use this software. I need help with that. That's not the price of the IT services that we deliver, the infrastructure, such as your SuperNet internet connection, we deliver that, your Wi-Fi, your Office 365 connections, all of that, we do that for the library. In 2020, you borrowed just about 10,000 items from libraries outside, so not your collection, other libraries throughout that track system. You borrowed about almost 10,000 and you lent about 7,600. So you're a net borrower. You're pretty close to this, even, which is good. We like to see that. And net borrower, that's great. That means you're taking advantage of the system. You're using the materials from around. So that's excellent. And I mentioned, you save money because you can purchase books through us. We can do that for you. You saved about $1,600 just in acquisitions. Northern Lights, last year we spent $350,000 on library materials. If you'd bought those yourselves without our bulk purchasing discounts, you would have spent $450,000. We save about $100,000 for the system. We also do the cataloging and processing for your materials. So, when you buy a book in a library, you can't just put it on the shelf. Somebody's got to be able to find that. Somebody's got to create a catalog record. We've got to put stickers on that. We put MacTac on a lot of our paperbacks so that they'll circulate 20 times instead of 10 before they fall apart. So we do a lot of that kind of thing. And we also do assistance with our summer reading programs, winter reading programs, other training and things that the headquarters does. So I say 7 programs here, but one of those would be, say, the summer reading program, which lasts all summer long. These last couple of years were pretty difficult. We had to, go online. Couldn't really do it in person, but we did some incredible sort of fun things, and Vegreville was right in there with us doing it. So, for example, we had the Bonnyville Pontiac young men's hockey team out there reading Twilight online on Zoom. Twilight is a vampire romance teen novel, so it was pretty entertaining to watch those young men read that. We had CFL players reading to kids. We had trivia nights for adults, seniors, and the like. So we do quite a bit. We're just coming to the end of our winter reading program, which is really exciting too. So we do a lot, and we engage with all of these 49 libraries regularly. Thank you, Councillor Ruddock, for being our representative. That's wonderful. Our board is 55 people. We've had a changeover of about 75% of that in this last election. But that board meets quarterly, 4 times a year. And so we've saved some money by going online with that. We'll do 1 in-person meeting a year. We think it's important to get together. We also do a library managers council. All our library managers, Donna included. In fact, our first meeting's tomorrow. Our first meeting of the year is tomorrow. We meet 3 times a year. So they can get together and help steer the system and also work off of each other and come up with ideas together. And so there's that engagement piece. As well, we hold coffee chats. These are things that people can drop into, the library managers and staff can drop into and work off each other and not reinvent the wheel all the time. And we hold an annual conference at our headquarters there in Elk Point. So we're doing quite a bit. You'll note when you see this, if you have it electronically, these QR codes on the bottom, you can click on them or you can use your phone to get to them. One is how we calculated these statistics. So this is just a window. We do much more than this, but this is a nice window into what you do, or what we do for you. You can click on that or use your phone and get to that if you really want to check my math. And then the other will take you to our service catalog. So I have sent you a copy of this, and I'll leave a copy for you as well. This is really a bigger window into all that we do for you. It's about 35 pages, and it covers all the various services that we provide. There is no levy increase this year. We do use the 2016 population numbers, so I'm not sure if you're in the group that might end up seeing an increase based on that population. Some people, if your 2016 population was a little higher, that does make for a problem. About half of our people use that, have seen a little bit of an increase because we use the 2016 population numbers. It's not by choice. That's what the province gives us to use. They ask us to use that 2016. I believe they're going to be doing something different this next year. But our 523, that's not changing. And it hasn't changed this is 3 years in a row. So we're working hard to work within the budget that we have and to continue to deliver these my colleague Vicky, the chair, and then I have a little plaque presentation for you.
Certainly, thank you.
Thank you very much for having us. I want to say thank you for your support in the past. David has been on the other board for several years, and now it looks like we welcome Tanine, so we're looking forward to working with you. I suppose you're aware that we have about 75% turnover, so we'll be spending the year on educating and professional development, etc. I just wanted to say thank you for your support in the past. We look forward to your continued support. And also, I just think it's more important James do what he has there than me speaking, unless you have questions.
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Warwick.
When I was looking just at this part of the meeting, I was just wondering, do you guys break down, as far as like your items lent to other areas, do you break down where the items particularly go? Okay, and so that's something, would that be accessible through going through one of the codes, or is that something you could send us?
We could send you that, yeah, where your items are.
And the only
headed to.
reason I talk about that is a lot of times certain communities end up being the hub, and it would be interesting to see if they're going out to other hub zones or if they're going to smaller areas sometimes, because it might help us when we're dealing with communities around that we support and just wanting to know whether they're using our library and whether we should be getting some supports in there. So I think that would be an interesting.
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to provide it. I will say that, you know, it's usually our small libraries that really get the big advantage of this, right? So, but absolutely, we can break down everywhere your materials are headed out and send you that
I think
report.
we have a very good expert in the room. Donna knows everything about it.
She
So
does.
if you haven't, she knows exactly
And we
what's
can send the
happening.
report to Donna too, and she could provide it to you as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody else have any other questions? Well, go ahead, Councillor Rudick.
Sorry, I'll just say apologies. I was on another meeting, and I'm so happy to have you here and be a part of the Northern Lights Library Systems. It's a board that is continuously providing good information, and I just want to say Vegreville specifically benefits from your accurate reporting methods. And I think it's great to be able to share that information with the council here, but particularly important for our community as well, to realize that, as Councillor Warwood just talked about, as a hub for the region, this facility also serves as a hub, but also the supports that support the actual building and the running of the library therein, that the Northern Lights Library System is an important part of that. So it really makes us bigger than we are. And I appreciate, I'm sure the mayor appreciates some of the graphs on here. But I would say that if anybody's interested, that the weekly reporting that James provides to the membership is really very extensive and very timely. So great to be a part of that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
happily, if you know people are interested, share those weekly reports with your colleagues. That would be great.
Well, I know that we all share, and we all know that we get a lot of value being a part of the Northern Lights system, and I know Donna is happy with the way it's run and the collaboration that she gets from the Northern Lights. And I know Councillor Berry had a really good time working on that board. He talked about it quite a bit, and it's been, the Libraries Act has been around longer than the Municipal Government Act. So.
It has. It's one of the very first pieces of legislation that the province put together, which leads right into this, if you don't mind, if no one else has other questions. Yes. So, you know, you're 100 years old. The library here, not the mayor, but maybe. No. So November 20th, 2020. So it's been a little bit of a time. It's, you know, the pandemic has kept us from presenting this to you, but you've had a library in this community for over 100 years now. So congratulations for that.
Sure, let's maybe just stand up here and we'll just get this way. Jameson could. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And and I'll leave you this service catalog as well. I'll give you the whole.
Donna wanted me to bring up one other thing. The library cards are on sale, so everybody make sure they get theirs.
Yes, go get them. Go
Thank
get those
you,
library
Vicky.
cards. Thank you all.
Thank you. I was wondering if you could have a picture with Donna included in there too, because then we can run it when we're having,
Sorry about that.
convention if you don't
If you leave it
mind.
up to men, you'll see what you'll get.
Yeah,
We have to scoot out.
Sorry.
and I took that picture without my mask on, so everybody's
yeah.
gonna go,
So you will get it, well, Jameson, we'll get, if you're in the middle, Don, on that side, we'll do it right here.
okay,
That way we're not trying to knock too many people off.
we got all,
Come on, Donna.
don't show that
Thank you.
unmasked
Thank
one
you
to anyone.
so much.
Okay, so I'll just send it out like this.
Awesome.
There.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What an amazing milestone,
One of my
thank you.
4 pairs that I need to wear.
Oh, I saw it.
Are close up.
Thank you so much.
Are you on the shuffle too?
Yeah, because I can't see my face, so I have reading glasses too. So, I'm 9 years old.
David, you're gonna miss us.
See you later. See you, Vicky. Excellent. That was a nice presentation, and this goes to show where our money, the value for the money is going, and libraries are important. So, thank you. Up next, well, I guess there's no community services director, so Director Lefebvre.
Thank you, Worship. I'm just going to present the Vegreville Sanitary Landfill. We are looking at changing the hours and the operation of our landfill hours. I'll just go through it quickly and just read it out to you. The background is the Vigorville Sanitary landfill hours are as follows. So currently we run from November 1st to March 31st. And for summer hours, we run from April 1st to October 31st. That has been like that for 20 plus years. So basically we're running 5 months in the winter hours and running 7 months in the summer hours. In the last year, Tony Timtish, the Municipal Services Manager, has been changing what we record for information at the landfill and to determine what the value is and being open in these slower times, predominantly April and October, after 5 p.m. when things slow right down. So you can see the revenue generated after 5 p.m. and the amount of vehicles after 5 p.m. It's hardly worth it for April and for October because of the low numbers. I know that the previous information we're playing with was maybe going to include May as well. We did pull that out. It looks like a good spike of dollars in May and the numbers after 5, and that was the last almost 2 weeks of May, and there was a lot of commercial carriers. It wasn't residents. But we still felt it was enough of a drive that we would keep that open. So that's a good information, and the more we collect at the landfill office, the more it helps us make decisions like this that are based on actual numbers. The proposed hours would be, we're gonna change the winter hours to 7 months and the summer hours down to 5 months. So it'll be from October 1st to April 30th, and it's Tuesday to Saturday, 9 till 5, and of course closed on statutory holidays. Those are the winter hours that we're going to. The proposed summer hours will now be from May 1st to September 30th, and that's a 12-hour shift. They're open from 8 till 8 until we get to Saturday and Sunday. We stay open from 10 till 5. Now, in order for the operators that are out there to continue to get 2,080 hours per year for these weekends, we will have to have them, actually the employee will start at 9 and work till 6. And what this will do is we'll give them an hour in the morning to get the machine fueled up, to get it greased without everybody coming through right away, if you should get someone coming through right away. And then in the evenings, that last hour, it will help him get up there and push and compact and get the garbage pounded down before, without anybody around to help him catch up. So, and that way, by doing this, we get some productivity out of it, and we're still getting that 2,080 hours per year for the employee. The implications are the Municipal Services Manager has created a new shift schedule for the full-time employees to ensure that they maintain their 80 hours per year. This change will ensure that we are making the most efficient use of staff time and optimizing landfill operations in general. So what we do is we take an employee from Public Works, usually on snow removal, roads, or sewer works, and we take that individual just for the summer and put him at the landfill to get our 2 shifts, our 2 on and offs. So what this is going to do is leave an equipment operator 2 at Public Works for 2 additional months. So it'll help out at Public Works, because he may not be as utilized as we'd like him to be if he was at the landfill for that first and last month of the year, right? And as far as communications, the Municipal Services Department will work with Communications Marketing Manager to ensure that this change is communicated through advertising and social media channels in the municipal scoop, and an update on the permanent signage at the landfill entrance to reflect the new hours and the new dates. This will not be something that'll come to a regular council meeting. We don't have to, I know that the one you saw with the draft before had, we were gonna have to amend a bylaw for it. The previous solid waste bylaw of years ago had the hours of operation in it. The last one we redid does not. So we can just remove that. This is an operational move, and it's just to keep council up to speed in case you get some inquiries about why did the hours change, and this is why. So we put a little package together so you can answer it if you get asked with some good information.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, this is not a change to the current bylaw,
That's right.
and this is on management's decision that they want to change, they're going to change these hours.
That's correct.
And so if anybody has any questions or any comments they'd like to make, probably now would be a good time. Councillor Barry?
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate any time that there's efficiencies implemented, so I think this is a good plan. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councillor Curtis?
I like data. Data tells all. So good job on the spreadsheet there, and makes sense to me.
Good.
Okay, well, okay, sorry, Councillor Riddick is coming in late on this one, but
Sorry. It's gonna be the theme for today. My just question would be, is the communication strategy? Obviously, we've got even just the data that you've collected here references some large commercial operations that utilize our landfill. We'll be sharing this, our usual methods, I'm sure, but also reaching out to some of our larger businesses that utilize our services.
That's correct, for sure. We put the personal touch out because there's not that many commercial haulers, so we will reach out and let them know, for sure.
okay, so we will be seeing this, but on the council meeting, but it's not, we're not gonna be voting on this. I mean, it'll just be that this is for information for the public, and thanks for bringing it up about the other bylaw. I mean, we were sort of judging on an old one, but
Yeah.
what year is the bylaw we're working on now, do you know?
18, I believe.
Okay, so that doesn't need any updating at this time. Oh, Councillor Warwell.
Sorry, the one thing just kind of struck me. I was just noticing on the winter hours, of course, we do the Tuesday to Saturday with the closed on stat holidays. So a lot of times our stat falls on the Monday. Do we then close an additional day typically? Like, would we be closed another day if there was a stat Monday, but we're not typically opened?
No, it would be we'd have to bring another employee to cover the shift of the employee that's off for that stat.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna work the Saturday like normal.
Right.
Whereas the other staff would not work the Saturday, Sunday. So if his regular date to be off was Monday, then he would get the Tuesday off, but we'd bring in a
Okay,
substitute.
so it's
for
really
that
not
day.
affecting the public really in that
No.
way. Okay, that was my question. Okay, thank you.
So it's not like a bank?
No.
Okay. Landfills are not banks, okay, everybody understands that, okay. Okay, thank you very much, Director Lefebvre.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any other questions? Okay, up next is Director Saskew on the borrowing bylaw.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is the borrowing bylaw for the 2022 forced main replacement. Just to reiterate before we go into the details of this bylaw is in the event that our wastewater grant does not come through. So we have to have a borrowing bylaw done before any work is done. In the event that we ever need to borrow on this amount, we have to have it done before spring. So the plan is to have a grant for this, but we're just being prudent and making sure that this is in place if we do need to draw on it. So this bylaw is to incur indebtedness for the issuance of the amount of $1.25 million for purpose of the forced main replacement. So the specifications that have been prepared is the total cost of the forced main replacement is $2.85 million. Of that, we have $1.6 million approved in provincial grants, and then the $1.25 million stated as debenture on this. So this is the wastewater grant that is still in process. So this is in order to construct and complete the said project, it'll be necessary for the town to borrow the sum of the $1.25 million. So that is where we have. This will be coming to council on Monday.
Okay, have anybody have any questions? will we be doing all 3 readings on Monday?
No, this is one that we actually have to advertise, so this will be going, if you guys are happy with this bylaw as is, we will be putting it in the paper to run for the next 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, CAO Christopher Leggett.
Thank you, Your Worship. So, the CAO, or the council calendar here. This, as you know, is the calendar of meetings for council for the upcoming 2022 year. Just a couple of items of note is in discussion with the Legislative Services Coordinator here today. We've got the two ledge and 2 council meetings showing in July and August. I understand it's often council's pleasure to change that up a little bit.
Actually, we do that to support the admin. Council would love to be at all these meetings, but we do that to support the admin.
We'll take it, Your Worship. So yeah, we'll be bringing that forward for council approval there at the next meeting.
Okay. A couple of questions. Okay, that's in September. I got the colors mixed up. So FCM is in Regina this year. So is anybody planning on attending FCM? Councillor Rudick, we know you will be attending.
I would also, this week is FCM board meetings, and because they're virtual, or actually this week and next week, it will be, at this point, a hybrid virtual as well as in-person conference. And it will be where I am sworn in as president of FCM, so.
In Regina?
In Regina.
Well, I plan on going.
So I would love to have as many council mates as possible. We haven't attended the last couple years. And I think in the theme of unifying our country and making sure that we have personal relationships with our colleagues across the country, it would mean a lot to have you there.
Okay, just so everybody knows the rules on FCM, everybody gets to go once in their term, so. And this is a big one with Councillor Rudick taking over as the chair of FCM, the president. What other title goes along with that?
That's it.
That's it?
Nothing else. And I certainly don't want to forego your opportunity, colleagues, to be able to attend other exciting locations in your 4-year term, but this is one that's close enough to drive.
Well, there you go. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions on the calendar? So as we get closer to the summer schedule, oh, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Your Worship. The legislative coordinator just passed me a note here. Yeah, we are looking to see which of those, if any, you guys would like to cancel off of the calendar.
So can we just wait until, let's say, April? When everybody sort of knows what their own schedules look like a little more for counselors? Can we do that? Yeah. Now that we're allowed to travel, I would imagine that people will start putting some plans in place.
And one of the purposes of bringing it forward early is to allow, is to allow administration to book their holidays as well. So as long as we don't leave it too far.
Okay, so I would say that, would you all agree that by the end of March, we'd be able to make these decisions? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then we'll compromise and we'll go that the last meeting in March, we will put in hard dates on the summer meetings. Okay, thank you very much. Next up, still you again, Christopher. You were doing the deputy mayor appointment.
Bear with me, Your Worship. Deputy Mayor. Aha. So this was a a note dated at the organizational meeting held on October 25th, 2021. Council decided that each councillor would serve as deputy mayor for a period of 4 months, twice in their 4-year term. Following the schedule presented at the organizational meeting, the next deputy mayor is to be Councillor David Barry. Recommendation is that Councillor David Barry be appointed deputy mayor for the term of February 28th, 2022 to June 27th, 2022.
Okay, well, that's if the outgoing deputy mayor agrees. We've had that before.
All yours.
Okay, so we'll see that on Monday's meeting, and you bring the sheriff's badge with you, or how's that work, Chris, when we change it over? The deputy badge.
I'll have to brush up on that process for us,
Okay.
Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. The draft Economic Development Committee bylaw.
Thank you, Worship. Also me, this was to bring forward the Economic Development Committee bylaw that was discussed at the recent meeting. The legislative coordinator had prepared this in advance, so if council sees anything here that you think might need to be changed or amended, but I did review it as well, it looks pretty accurate. If council's okay with it as is, we'll bring it forward on the 28th.
Okay, so it's very, very simple, the way that this committee is set up, and I know that Councillor Bullock and Councillor Curtis were at the last one, the initial one, where we were trying to figure out some terms of reference, and I thought the meeting went real good. We took away some action items, and they're being dealt with right now, so hopefully that we can get this up and running, and it's meeting bi-monthly, right? Every 2 months is what we discussed, Chris? I think so.
I believe it's monthly, Your Worship, yeah.
Oh, monthly. Oh, bi-monthly basis, yeah, okay.
Is it bi-monthly? Sorry.
Go ahead. Chris.
Bi-monthly, my apologies.
Sandra?
The original discussion was for bi-monthly, but
Yeah.
not attending the meeting. So if you discuss differently at the meeting, we'll have to change the bylaw, or the draft bylaw.
Well, we just got going so fast, and then we realized there was a lot of synergies in what we were all doing. And we did want to get an update on tourism coming up within the month. So I think that, I know that we had said that originally that it would be bi-monthly, but during the meeting, it just think the issues were coming up that needed to be dealt with, and so I think that we were gonna look at it doing it monthly. At least off the hop. Yeah, at least to start. Like, we wanted to get the tourism in as quickly as we could, so that we all were knowing which direction we were going. Councillor Barry?
Thank you, Your Worship. I was just curious, do we need to state the periods of meetings? Or could it be somewhat loose enough that it could be monthly for a period of time and then bi-monthly? Is there
We could leave it
a
bi-monthly
need
and-
to state an actual time period for the meetings?
Or could be just at the call of the chair, or, go ahead, Chris.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, thank you, Worship, and through to Councillor Barry. Yeah, that's an interesting point. The bylaw could be written that the meetings are at the pleasure of the committee. So yeah, as often as necessary. That wouldn't bind us to doing monthly or bi-monthly by bylaw, but rather at the end of every meeting, the chair could call for the next meeting.
Okay, Sandra?
Or you could do X number per year. If there's a set amount you want to have for sure for the year, let's say 6, you can say a minimum of 6 a year. It's another way to do it.
Yeah.
It's, with there being a financial component to committee meetings, it's probably best if you list at least a minimum in the committee, or in the bylaw.
Okay, and I agree, because there is per diems involved here, so yeah, so a minimum of 6, we'll go with that, and then we'll leave it at the call of the chair as we move forward, because once we get a lot of this stuff straightened out and who's doing what, there may not be every month that we need to have it, so. Okay, so that, the only change I see before Monday, that'll work. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. This one is concerning potential regional hub discussion. We received some correspondence from Two Hills, and I'll read out the letter here. Our fellow municipal leaders, at our last council meeting, our hub member, Michael Tarkowski, came forward with the idea of communities meeting to discuss issues that directly affect our region. If everyone would be willing to meet, we would gladly offer our community as a meeting place for mayors, reeves, and Indigenous leaders. There are many issues that are very important and impact our region, which in our opinion are not properly addressed by our provincial government. Agenda items such as healthcare can be brought forward where they can be discussed and solutions suggested. As individual communities, our voices are small, but together we can be heard. If this is something you think would be worthwhile to your community, our CAO is prepared to coordinate and prepare an agenda for this event, and let's set a date to get started. We're looking forward to seeing you all in Two Hills. Sincerely, Leonard Iwanishan. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that.
You did. But Leonard won't mind. Okay, so I was at the hub meeting, and there's some new board members, and their first meeting, so they were very eager to discuss healthcare and a few other things, not knowing exactly what a hub's mandate is. So I feel that Michael, he goes, Mike took it upon himself to say, you know what, there's enough concern in the region to have a discussion about some of these issues that are not covered within hub. I mean, hub is more of a economic driver in the northeastern Alberta and stuff, and but it was the flavor of the conversation with the new members from many other municipalities like Cold Lake and Bonnyville and even Two Hills, and that's what the coffee talk was about. Once they figured this out, that it really wasn't the mandate of hub, then they all was like, we need to get together regionally and talk about some of the problems, especially in hospitals and stuff that they're seeing. So I don't think it's a bad idea that we look at it regionally and stuff, and at least we're all communicating, and if we're all seeing the same problems, then we can maybe lobby together on behalf of this whole region. So go ahead, Councillor.
Regional meetings sound like a good idea. I just would be curious to know, I think with the retirement of Councillor Sorkin, that has left a void on their council, because she sat on Yellowhead East Health Advisory Council for a long time, and is actually one of the ones that encouraged Vegreville to be a part of that a number of years ago. So I will also reach out to them from that council as well, just to see if they're interested in renewing their membership and making sure that they've got a first-hand seat to be able to see what's happening in terms of those decisions. But anytime we can have discussions with our neighbor, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so I guess we'll reach out to the Two Hills, the town of Two Hills, and say that, yeah, that we will attend, and I'll go to the mayors and reeves. Myself personally, I think that I'd like to take another member of council with me as well, just for the simple fact that, first of all, I don't know everything that's going on, and may not be at all the meetings, so maybe Councillor Rohr, maybe when you're in that area quite a bit, you know what some of the issues are there and stuff, maybe you can accompany me to these meetings.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
It is not a board or anything like that, it's just some conversation, and who knows, it may go a meeting or two, and then we find out just what we're all seeing, and then that could be it, so. Okay, so go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Worship. I might understand then I should reach out to the CAO and let them know.
Yep, that we would definitely, and that I would be coming and bringing a counselor with me, just so that we can talk about our concerns and what the concerns of the region are.
Yep. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Next up is mine. We have a request to support a private member's bill, Bill C-229. And this bill is to amend the criminal code banning symbols of hate. So it's a private member's bill from, an MP from BC, I think, correct? Something like that. So, you guys have all read it? What are your thoughts? So, swastikas, Ku Klux Klans, insignias, Nazi Germany, white supremacists, Confederate States of America. There's a lot of things that they listed in here. The Confederate flag, for one, I don't really know if that's a universal sign of hate. I'm not sure on that, but do you guys want to get involved in this? Is there any will of council to endorse this private member's bill by signing a petition saying that we support it? You certainly could. Go ahead.
So I'm not personally in favor necessarily of supporting member of parliament bills that are outside of our own area. However, obviously the cause is very good because we all want to ban any symbols of hate. The only thing that I would ask is if we are really considering supporting the bill, that we then make sure to go through and actually review a copy of the bill, because they've highlighted in here their highlights of what it means, but there's a lot more to this bill than just this. I could try and get everyone a literal House of Commons legislative overview so that it's not from my take. And if everyone would like that, I would just suggest if we could to go through it, because with any bills, it's very easy to say to ban symbols of hate, and we should ban symbols of hate, but we also have to figure out who gets to decide what is a hate symbol, who gets to decide what we're talking about. I think it's important not to automatically jump to it. So I'm not suggesting we don't, but I'm wondering if council would be willing to have me get them a copy of the bill so we'd all look at it before making a decision.
Well, I think we'd all agree more information is always good. I mean, I didn't want to get to the point where we're endorsing somebody that's going to be burning Dr. Seuss books or anything like that. I mean, everybody's definition of hate is going to be a little bit different, and the implications down the road. But is everybody okay that? Oh, Councilor Berry, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate more information, Councillor, but myself, I'm not really certain that this is the role of a municipal council to be endorsing or not endorsing members of Parliament's actions. I don't think that I would want to support or not support. I feel very neutral on them bringing forward this bill. I don't endorse hate symbols, but again, without really seeing everything and having been around government somewhat myself, it's not the act that really dictates things. It's the schedules to them and the regulations behind them that get manipulated very quickly because the act doesn't have to be changed again. So you can keep changing the definitions and you can keep adding to it until we're on a slippery slope that we really don't have any control of what is suddenly being determined to be a hate symbol. So I would prefer to stay neutral on this and let the House of Commons debate it rather than a council in the middle of Alberta. So myself, the best I would say on this is a receive and file, because I don't think that it's really appropriate for a municipal council to be debating a federal bill.
Okay, is anybody want to ask the Councilor Warwa to find out some more information on the bill and get it back to us? Is anybody willing to look at that? You are? Okay, go ahead and get it for us. Hopefully, the next time they have a bill banning like pipelines and stuff, we'll get a chance to voice on that one too. I mean, there's a few bills I'd like to.
Well, I'm sure we won't, because that doesn't fall into the narrative. But
No.
again, my overall general is probably very much in agreement with Councillor Berry that I don't know that is our role. But whether we decide to write on it or not, it probably doesn't hurt for us to just give everyone the wording of the bill, because it's something that's in circulation. It might be of interest anyways. So I'll get that to everybody.
Yeah, it's very unusual. I mean, I've never voted on, or had a chance to voice my opinion like that on a member's bill in the House of Commons, but I'd be willing to look into it more often. Okay, Thank you very much. Is there anything else that I missed in this meeting? Nobody can. Okay, well, we're going to move on to round table. And we're going to start with Councillor Barry. He's first on the list. Right, go alphabetically today, you don't know.
Thank you, Your Worship. Actually, I don't have anything to say, so borrowing the, I usually have a lot to say. On this particular subject, I don't have anything to say, Councillor. I was going to borrow the slogan that was, I have nothing.
Oh, yeah. Paul Casey.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Councillor Bullock.
I guess I'm following along the lines of Dave today. I don't really have anything to discuss this time around.
Can you give us anything that happened in the community yesterday? Were you driving around?
Yeah, I drove around a bit, yeah, for sure. And of course, Family Day was going on, for sure. So that part was great.
Okay.
So some families came out and had a good time.
Excellent.
Hockey.
Thank you. Councillor Warma.
I don't actually want to discuss COVID regulations, but I'm going to bring it up since I had 3 calls about things. I just want to reiterate to everyone again that removal of the REP program has nothing to do with masks. There are 2 different orders. One's a provincial health order, because I was called 3 times over the last little while because there was some concern that our facilities were still regulating masks and asking about masking. So I just want to say it because we're on live to remind everybody that one is a provincial health order. It has nothing to do with facility designations. So that was one. And then the other thing was about yesterday. So I had an opportunity, I was asked to judge public speaking for the 4-H, and that was really great, and love seeing that in our community. And there's some good opportunities for young people to be able to choose between doing speeches and being able to do presentations. And it was really interesting. I just thought I'd highlight that what interesting presentations were chosen from our area. Some agriculture presentations, which of course is something really close to our heart. And even some talk about hemp production was one within the agriculture, so I thought I would bring that forward. And then we had some senior presentations that actually talked about behind the wheel, and we're talking about ways to educate young people on different things that can impact their time behind the wheel, between everything from distracted driving right through to impacts of alcohol, and it was really good presentations. So love to see 4-H in our community, and we were at the Lutheran Church yesterday for that, so thank you for being asked, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lemko.
Thank you, Your Worship. I as well have nothing that's on the priority list, but I want to send out kudos to our FCSS for organizing the Family Day events yesterday, and all the other the volunteers that came out, the fire department who were there with their fire pit, as well as the employees from FCS. Like there was Emma there who organized, and Anu who spent their day, Family Day, hosting some activities there, as well as Donna Williams from the library through the snowshoeing that she had set up there. So there's a lot of opportunity, although the weather forced a few things to go inside. It was a great opportunity to see, and the Vipers doing their road hockey. I think most of them played against themselves, but it was so cold out that there wasn't a lot of people. There was an opportunity to see the soccer, the drone soccer, and they were setting up the nets there, and there wasn't a lot of people to participate, but it's a movement that I'm sure will have opportunity for the many kids who don't play hockey or soccer or any other activities in the community. And it looks like a lot of fun. So kudos to them, organizing a family event, and hopefully next year we could have a huge breakfast for our residents as well. So stay tuned. That's all I have, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Curtis.
Happy to be back at the meetings. I know I've been zooming it there for a while, but back to town, and my family day was spent at home with the family, staying out of the cold. So that's pretty much all I have for right now, but
Okay, well, nice to see you in person. It was a long 3 weeks or whatever, how long you were away, but it's a month, okay. Councillor Riddick, what do you have?
I had a query from some community members that are wondering where our DOLA, our dog off-leash area, is on the south side. Sorry. And I believe that was a decision that was not approved during our budget process.
It was in the future plan.
Yeah. So one of the things that twigs for me there is maybe, we haven't done this in the past. We had talked about doing like a brief highlight of the really exciting decisions that we make in the budget, because it would be nice to be able to see some of those in real time. Like, I appreciate that we've got, some of the bring forward, statistics that we've got for our capital works projects, but some of the smaller stuff might be nice too for people to be able to see, just to see where it's at and when they could anticipate that. And then the other thing I referenced, I've got Federation of Canadian Municipalities board meetings this week, and just had the Prairies and Territories Caucus just before this one. Some pretty heated discussions about a variety of topics, some of which are timely, as I'm sure you can all imagine. But policing is, the bills are getting delivered to municipalities, and as it stands right now, Alberta Municipalities has recommended to their 47 members, which include us, 47 members that have to pay for policing, that we've received the bill, don't pay it yet. So I don't know if I believe that is their tactic right now, and that's not a secret tactic, but to wait and see, because the letters are coming from the department staff federally, saying that this is the amount for policing, and this is how you'll be submitting and remitting your payment. At the same time, these conversations are happening with the minister, and the minister and his staff are very favorable to some of the advocacy that FCM and the PTAs, the Provincial Territorial Associations, have said, basically that this was a deal that was negotiated without us, and we don't have the money in our budget. At the very least, all of us municipalities have passed our budgets without that additional cost in there. So it's a wait and see, but just to see in real time too, some of the implications of some of the numbers that are being given to different territorial associations and provincial associations. In Saskatchewan, for example, they're being told $3,000 to $4,000 per member, per body cam, per year, plus additional equipment. So if you do that math, it doesn't take long for that to really ramp up very quickly. And I would say that given the current climate that we're in, body cameras are an entirely appropriate addition to current policing. That said, it is hard to see how that automatically devolves to a municipal expense, and why it all of a sudden should be added to our retro pay and moving forward. So just sort of flavors the conversation.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So these other municipalities have received their bills, and they've seen, other than the retro pay on the bill, there was invoicing for body cams?
That was not on there. So this is the interesting part of the conversation. Okay. So depending on who's talking to whom at which time, it isn't included, I don't believe, in the bill that municipalities have received. So this is in Saskatchewan. This is the estimated cost that they had been given. And in Saskatchewan, if they don't pay, for example, they can't use that tactic, then they don't share on the revenue sharing. That's how they receive their money from the province, which is quite different than us. We might receive MSI. So it is a different method, but it really puts up a point on the conversation moving forward too with the National Police Federation, and how the provincial tour, talking about the Alberta Provincial Police Service proposal, what that actually looks like at the same time we're doing this negotiation. So again, there's a lot of good work happening with that, and we also have the first ever National Housing Supply Summit this Thursday, which includes people from CMHC, and it covers the range of topics from homelessness up to housing affordability and everything in between. So talking about what it actually means to have affordable housing and the supply of housing and what that looks like. So this is the first time that it's ever been convened, and it is a very diverse table. So if anybody has any real-time examples about what that looks like, don't be shy to share some of your examples. I think in Alberta we've got a variety of different examples, but right now some of our challenges, even locally for some of our projects, are a lack of skilled labor to be able to do the work, even if as a municipality we have the ability to approve a particular project, some of those developers may not be able to do it because they don't have the labor in place to be able to do some of the things that we'd like. So that's another part of the complicated problem. And that's it.
It is a very complicated problem, and I think municipalities should keep their nose out of that lane, to tell you the truth, provincial and federal, when it comes to affordable housing, and I just don't see the municipal role in it. But actually FCM is supposed to be representing municipalities, and I just wish that they would just lobby the government to pay for it and not have municipalities. Because the downloading is what the federal government, the provincial government's looking at, and when it comes to this type of thing, so. You want to have a comment?
Well, and one of my biggest concerns is I think that the downloading could be disproportionate, because I think in areas like ours where the housing might be cheaper, we might actually see a larger percentage increase than you would in some other areas. So to see municipalities take on the role, I think you might see a community like Vegreville actually get hit harder than some surrounding areas. So that would be my concern about that too, because as it's more affordable, we become an easy place to go towards. And I understand it's a little different thing when we're talking about providing affordable housing. I do have a lot of concerns that our vicinity to the city, but yet our price difference to some relative areas around could end us, if we end up taking on the role of providing some of it, I think ours could be a really high dollar figure.
Yep. So, thank you for that. And as far as the RCMP go, yes, I know that Alberta Municipalities has asked us not to pay the bill. I don't think we've received it yet, Chris. When we do, they would like us to report exactly, Megan, what the amount is. They want to know that right away, because they're going to go start lobbying right away. I know that even the charges from last year to this year, and they haven't set those yet, and of course we've had that conversation about the staffing levels here, what they are and what they're projecting, and we're in that ongoing conversation with them all the time. So other than that, I forgot what I was going to bring up about here, but what was happening here in the last couple weeks around town. Yeah, I've had quite a few calls regarding lots of different things. There's a lot of people in town that think that when they took off the bylaw, or sorry, the rep program, and you don't have to show, means that you don't have to wear a mask anywhere you go, and it's becoming a problem with a lot of businesses, and they feel they don't have a lot of support. And so if everybody can just be respectful till the end of the month here, and just try to get through this the best they can. So, having said that, we will move on to director's highlights, and we're going to start with Director Saskew.
Thank you, Your Worship. I actually don't have too much right now. We are in the ongoing process of the audit. The auditors arrived today, so it's been a busy day along with a couple employee illnesses. So just trucking along in the finance department. So
It's a busy time for you, audit time.
it is, yes.
Are you worried about anything?
We're adequately prepared.
Well said. Touche. Director Lefebvre, what have you been up to?
Prosperity Park updates. The lift station building itself is up and the roof is on, so we're not at lock up because we need some doors and things yet, but we're getting closer. And once those are in, then we can start heating the inside of the building and get rolling with the slow stuff, which is all the controls and valves and pumps and things that have to go in after that. The force main to the lagoon system is going along as quick as we can. When we hit these cold snaps, we have to stop for a few days. We are running into some issues with supply of products. For example, there's air relief valves that go along every so many meters in the line to the lagoons because it's uphill and it needs to breathe at times. And of course, we're waiting for those. So now when you directional drill a section, you have to leave it open, daylight it, take off and go again, and we'll have to come back and drop those in after. Things like the Cummins generator is probably still about 22 weeks out, 24 weeks out. So those are things that are just going to slow it down. But the contractor is doing what he can to keep things happening, and then we get the pieces, we'll drop them in place and finish it that way. So we're still busy out there. I would think that's my update.
So there's still a lot of supply chain problems.
There are some, yeah.
driving up inflation rates. Oh, well, I guess we're all in this together, so let's. Okay, let's have CAO highlights.
Thank you, Your Worship. So starting off, staff and I have been working on the redesign of the complaint resolution process. It's been going quite well. We have a flow chart drafted, and we're now working towards assigning roles to staff members and looking to implement by month's end or so here. One major addition at the moment is now the inclusion of a do not reply bounce back type email to let people know who are escalating items that we have received it, and we're committing to getting back to them within 1 business day. And I want to thank Councillor Curtis for providing us with sort of a test case from which to look at that and come up with that program. Following up on Council's request to reach out to the bowling alley, I have touched base with those folks. They were not aware of the actual magnitude of, the financial magnitude, I guess, of the request they were making. So they'd indicated that the pins are more important to them than the pens. Their request is still for $275, but if the cost is a major concern to council, they would entertain down to $175. They feel they could make it work with that. So that would bring the estimate down to maybe 825 to about $850 from the previous number. So if council's okay with it, I can bring an RCD forward on the 28th for a final decision on that. The council strategic planning venue retreat has gotten back to us regarding the March 11th and 12th dates we'd requested. Looks like it's available, but we just want to firm up the agenda and the timelines on that. The previous booking had us getting there pretty much right at 8:30 in the morning on the first day, and then leaving at 5, it looks like, on the second day. Does council still feel that that time's necessary, or?
8:30 would be the Friday morning?
That would be, yeah, the 11th, be 8:30 in the morning on the 11th.
Where are we at with Alberta Municipalities?
That's the 9th and the 10th, so those will be a busy couple of days for
So
us,
the
Your
10th,
Worship.
we leave at just after lunch, and that's the Thursday, so then we would be back in time for the next morning to show up there.
To head out there and.
Does
and do
anybody
it,
have
so.
a problem with that, with those times, making the mark? Well, it seems good for us, then.
Same
You're
time?
good, right?
Okay, so 8:30 start on the 11th, and we wrap things up by 5 on the 12th.
Sure.
Good, very good. Next, I have a full template in place for the council action item tracking sheet that we've been discussing. So the first copy of it will be on the February 28th agenda, but just to give you an idea, it's gonna look like that. And so we're currently tracking about 24 items on there, with maybe about 40 or 45% of them already having been complete between the last couple of meetings. So I think that'll help corporate record keeping and the flow. And then last but not least, the mayor and I attended an ATCO webinar today, and we discussed EVs, EV charging stations, lights, and solar in general. And the mayor had asked me to bring up to see if council would consider a pre-feasibility study for some cogen or /solar projects in town with a budget of about $2,500. Does everyone feel that might be worth exploring at the next council meeting?
So we had a really good conversation with ATCO regarding a lot of things in our facilities and regarding the charging stations, and of course, they know a lot about grant funding and stuff as well. And some of this grant funding just opened but closes on March the 25th. So the initial study that they would like to do on some of our facilities and how we could make them better and how we can work them together, and maybe even a cogen system that could feed 3 different facilities. And they need to do this feasibility study first, and to get the ball rolling, they're telling us it'd be around $2,500, and then they would come with us all the information and some price and some comparables, how this works out over the next 10 years, 20 years, when does it pay itself out, and stuff like that. So if everybody is okay with it, we'd like to get back to them as quickly as possible and say that we would like to start the study. So,
Okay,
we
we'll
don't make motions here, but we
Yeah,
do
we'll bring
have,
back, we'll bring back an RCD for the next,
well, you know what, we do have a consensus of council here right now, so you can bring it, but you can also get a hold of Trevor and let him know that council has agreed to do it, and as quickly as they can get together, and, because that one grant for communities, it opened the middle of February and it closes March 25th, and it's, can be up to 40% of the project.
yeah, okay. I'll bring an RCD to the 28th, your worship, just so we dot that
Yep.
I and cross that T, but, yeah,
sure.
I'll reach out to them and let them know. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you very much. So upcoming events, we got the council meeting on Monday, the next ledge meeting is the 8th, and then everybody knows about the Alberta Municipalities, March 10th and the 11th. Okay? Yeah? Mine says 9 and 10, what's yours say? Wow. I make a mistake every meeting and you guys laugh at me. I can't believe this. Yeah, I would imagine you do. Okay, well, we do have, another topic to discuss in a closed session, and it's harmful to a business interest of a third party. So I'll be now taking a motion to go into a closed session. So Councilor Borba makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. So Jameson